My peaceful morning rides with Storm turned into a neighborhood showdown when the HOA and Mrs. Carter decided horses didn't belong on public roads. They never saw it coming that my quiet dad was about to be sworn in as the new mayor. What would you do if your HOA's power trip crashed headfirst into your family's unexpected political clout? Let me know where you're reading from in the comments below. It started with the loud bang of Mrs. Carter's front door slamming shut. Storm flinched beneath me. There she stood in her purple fluffy bathrobe and curlers, her face scrunched up like she'd just tasted something sour. "You stop right there," she screeched, jabbing a bony finger at me. "That dirty beast doesn't belong on our streets." I eased Storm's reins, bringing my sleek black gelding to a gentle halt. "Good morning, Mrs. Carter," I said, forcing a smile that stung my cheeks. "Lovely day for a ride, don't you think?" Storm huffed softly, as if nodding along. We'd been taking this same route through Pine Hollow Estates for 3 years, ever since Dad and I moved here after Mom died. These rides kept me tied to her. She's the one who taught me to ride. Mrs. Carter stomped across her pristine lawn in her slippers. "Look at what that monster's doing to our road. Hoofprints everywhere. Do you know how much we pay to keep these streets perfect?" I glanced at the asphalt, spotless, as always. Storm's shoes barely left a mark. "The road looks fine to me, Mrs. Carter," I said. "And this is a public street, not HOA property. Don't you sass me, young lady." Her voice hit a new pitch. "I'm on the HOA board, and we have rules about farm animals. This isn't a barnyard." 3 neighbors peeked out their doors. Mr. Lopez from across the street shot me a sneaky thumbs up behind her back. "Storm's not livestock," I said, keeping my tone even though my pulse raced. "He's my pet and my riding partner. I checked with the city. Horseback riding's legal on all public roads." Her face turned beet red. "We'll see about that." She yanked her phone from her robe pocket. "I'm calling Mr. Grayson right now. He'll put an end to this." "Oh, great, Mr. Grayson, the HOA president who once sent Dad a 10-page letter about our hedge being half an inch too high." "Go ahead," I said, nudging Storm forward. "Have a nice day, Mrs. Carter." As we trotted off, I heard her barking into her phone. "Henry, it's Linda Carter. That Harper girl's riding her horse through the neighborhood again. Do something." Mr. Lopez stepped off his porch as I passed. "Don't let her get to you, Mia," he said quietly. "Some people just love to grumble." "Thanks, Mr. Lopez." "Storm and I try to be good neighbors." "I know you do. My grandson loves seeing you ride by. It reminds him of the ponies back in Arizona." I grinned, a real smile this time. Maybe he can pet Storm sometime. He'd be thrilled. The rest of our ride was calm. Birds singing, sprinklers whirring, Storm's steady hoofbeats a comforting rhythm. Dad was already gone when I got home, busy with some secretive project at City Hall. I unsaddled Storm, gave him fresh water and hay in our small, city-approved backyard stable. Dad had triple-checked the permits knowing how nitpicky the HOA could be. After a shower and a change for school, I grabbed a protein bar and spotted it. A beige envelope jammed in the screen door, stamped with violation notice in bold red. My stomach sank as I tore it open. "Dear Harper family, it has come to the attention of the Pine Hollow Estates Homeowners Association that you are in violation of Covenant 7.4.2. No livestock, poultry, or other animals except common household pets shall be kept on any lot or common areas. Your continued housing and parading of a horse through our community streets constitutes a serious violation. You are hereby ordered to remove said livestock within 48 hours or face a $500 initial fine, followed by $100 daily penalties. Additionally, riding horses on community streets is prohibited effective immediately. Regards, Henry Grayson, HOA president." My hands shook. Storm wasn't leaving, he was family. I dialed Dad, but it went to voicemail. "Hi, you've reached David Harper. Leave a message, and I'll call back soon." "Dad, the HOA left a notice saying we have to get rid of Storm in 48 hours. They're threatening a $500 fine. Call me back. I don't know what to do." I grabbed my backpack, mind spinning, and headed to the bus stop. Mrs. Carter stood in her driveway, smirking, arms crossed. Mr. Grayson was beside her, his shiny bald head glinting in the sun, eyeing me like a hawk. "Your little horse stunt is done," Mrs. Carter called. This is a decent neighborhood, not a stable. I kept walking, ignoring her, but tears pricked my eyes. They couldn't take Storm. They just couldn't. At school, I slammed my locker so hard my best friend Lily jumped. "Whoa, what's up with you?" "The HOA's trying to make me get rid of Storm," I said, fighting tears. "They left a notice about livestock rules." Lily's eyes widened. "What? But you've had Storm forever. Your dad checked everything before you moved in, right?" "Yeah," I said, pulling out the crumpled notice. "Look, they're threatening $500, then $100 a day." She scanned it, her face darkening. "This is ridiculous. And unfair." I nodded. "I called Dad, but he's in meetings all day, something big at City Hall." The bell rang, and we rushed to class. I couldn't focus. My thoughts kept circling back to Storm, Mrs. Carter's smug grin, and losing my last link to Mom. When school ended, I raced home, hoping Dad was back. The house was empty, but a note sat on the counter. "Working late again. Pizza money in the drawer. Don't worry about the HOA. I'll handle it tomorrow. Love, Dad." I crumpled it. How could he be so chill? They were threatening Storm in less than 48 hours. My phone buzzed. Lily texted, "OMG, check the neighborhood FB page now." I opened it and felt sick. Mrs. Carter had posted a blurry photo of me and Storm with the caption, "Health hazard alert. The Harper family keeps a horse in their yard, letting it filth up our streets. Property values dropping. Kids at risk. Emergency HOA meeting tonight, 7 p.m. at the Grayson residence." The comments were a battlefield. "Outrageous. My son's allergic. Mrs. Evans. I pay HOA fees for a nice neighborhood, not a farm. Mr. Grayson. But there were allies too. That girl takes great care of her horse. This is nonsense. Mr. Lopez. The Harpers got permits for that stable. It's legal. Mrs. Kim. Pretty sure public roads aren't HOA turf. Mr. Tate." My hands trembled as I dialed Dad again. Voicemail. I paced, then remembered Dad's property files in his office. Maybe something there could help. I dug through his filing cabinet and found a folder labeled Pine Hollow Property. Inside were closing papers, stable permits, and, yes, the HOA covenants, highlighted by Dad. Next to 7.4.2, he'd written, "Horses exempt under City Ordinance 14.3 supersedes HOA. Confirmed with City Attorney, May 15, 2021. A sticky note had a number and Rebecca Stein, City Attorney. My heart raced. The HOA couldn't touch Storm. Headlights flashed across the windows. Cars were parking at the Graysons for the meeting. Without thinking, I grabbed the file, stuffed it in my backpack, and marched over. I rang the bell. Mrs. Grayson answered, her thin lips tightening. "Mia, what are you doing here?" "I'm here for the HOA meeting about my horse," I said firmly. "It's about me, so I should be there. This is for homeowners only. My dad owns our house." I cut in. "He's working late, so I'm here for us." Mr. Lopez appeared behind her. "She's got a right to be here, Susan. Let her in." Mrs. Grayson stepped aside reluctantly. The living room held about 20 neighbors on folding chairs. Mrs. Carter glared from the front row. Mr. Grayson stood at a podium. Mia Harper," he said, fake sweet. "Nice of you to join us. We're discussing the horse issue." "His name's Storm," I said, walking forward. "And I have info you need to hear." Mrs. Carter leapt up. "This is absurd. She's not a homeowner." "Let her speak," Mr. Lopez said. Others nodded. I took a breath and opened the file. The HOA notice says keeping a horse breaks 7.4.2. But Pine Hollow falls under City Ordinance 14.3, which allows horses on residential lots with proper stables, like ours. I showed the permit. The city and HOA approved this 2 years ago. Mr. Grayson adjusted his glasses. "That may be, but riding it around is also legal," I said, gaining steam. Ordinance 14.3 says horses can use all public roads. These streets are city-maintained, not HOA property. Murmurs spread. Mrs. Carter's face flushed. "I've ridden Storm here for 3 years with no issues until yesterday. I clean up after him and follow traffic rules. It's not just mess." Mrs. Carter snapped. "It's a safety risk. What if that thing runs wild?" "Storm's trained," I said. "He's safer than some drivers here." A few chuckled. Mr. Grayson coughed. The HOA can make stricter rules for the community's good. We'll vote now. Actually, a voice cut in from the doorway. You can't when it conflicts with city law. Everyone turned. Dad stood there in his suit, tired but firm, with a woman in a blazer beside him. David, Mrs. Carter gasped. I heard, Dad said, smiling at me. I brought Rebecca Stein, the city attorney, to clear things up. The room hushed. Mr. Grayson's smugness faded. What's your plan, David? Mrs. Carter demanded, her voice shaky. Dad grinned. Good question, Linda. You'll all find it interesting.